1. A bit of background here. At my store we have two types of discounted items when we try to sell old items: closeouts and clearance. Closeouts are returns, old floor models, things that don't have all the original packaging, parts, pieces, or items we can't sell as new. And clearance items are discontinued items still in packaging, and can be sold as new. If we get a New Year's model of an item, the old floor models go on closeout, as we don't have the box and parts or pieces, and the boxed versions go on clearance and are priced higher than the closeout floor models. This is what happened with some weed eaters this particular old guy was interested in. And here's how it goes. I'll be me, old man will be old man. About a week ago, the old man comes in and looks at the closeout weed eater. And I approach to help. Here's how it goes. Me: how are you, sir? Can I help you at all? Old man:
This weed eater here is $75. But do you have it in a box and the missing parts?
Me: no, that's a discontinued floor model. We have some in boxes new, but they're $95. But that's because they have all the parts and everything. Old man:
can you make the box one $75? If you do, I'll buy.
Me: sadly not, sir. It's marked lower for being a floor model and not having all the parts. The boxed ones are pretty much brand new, and thus cannot be matched. I apologize. Old man:
can you scan the box and see if it comes up at $75?
Me: okay. And it rings up at $95. Yeah, it's $95 for a boxed one, sir. Old man:
I guess you don't want a sale.
Leaves. Simple, right? Dude wanted a deal, and that's that. Nope. 3 days ago he comes back, and I offer to help again. Me: can I help you, sir? Answer any questions. Old man:
leave me alone. Every time I come in here you offer me help, and I don't want it. Just leave me alone, don't talk to me.
Me: okay. Just let me know if you need anything. Him:
ugh.
Gets on phone and leaves. I guess he doesn't like customer service or something. But he came back today, and I didn't recognize him as he turned immediately. And I only saw the back of his head. Me: welcome. Can we help you, sir? Old man looks at me and points at me.
I told you never to talk to me. I'm leaving because of you.
Storms out. I don't know how I offended this man, but I think it's hilarious. My manager saw the man today, and I told him what happened, and we laughed about it. And my manager said he needs serious mental health, and we laughed over that. Either he hates me, or he hates customer service. 2. So this happened over winter, but I'm new here and I thought you guys would like this story. I'm an assistant manager at a store people love to hate. I observe a woman walk in with her 2 daughters, taking trips between full price and clearance sections of the store. We're kinda busy at this point, so I'm not paying too much attention to her. But I start to notice that she is moving brand new floor set jackets, $200, to our $12.99 clearance closet. Oh boy, this will be fun, I tell myself. I see the woman get in line with a bunch of stuff, and 2 of these $200 jackets. I overtake the register and ring everything up as ticketed. Okay, ma'am, your total is $633. Would you like to enter your email? Woman: excuse me? Why is it so expensive? Me: well, you did get 2 jackets at $200 a piece, so that makes up about $400 plus tax of your total. Would you like me to remove the jackets from your purchase? Small tidbit: we have HD cameras that I have access to. I don't know why this would shock anyone. Woman: absolutely not. Those jackets are $12.99. There's a whole closet full of them right over there. Points. And there they were. All of our floor set jackets in the closet, and an empty rack up in full price. My line is getting long now and my patience short. I'll give her one last chance to save face in front of her kids, and then I'm moving on to bad guy mode. Me. Miss, there must be some mistake. Those jackets are brand new, and only just arrived yesterday. I'm sorry, but I cannot honor the price on this. Woman. If the price is above them, you have to honor the price. It's the law. Me, I'm not sure that's true, but it's definitely not true when several of my staff observed you putting the jackets there. I wouldn't mind calling security and we can work on this situation with them, but I have to help the next customers if you don't have an intention to make a purchase. Now, most people would admit defeat, but this woman is a special kind of stupid. Not only am I asking her to leave, but her daughters are too. Fast forward to security arriving. The woman refused to let me help the next customers. Security guard.
What seems to be the issue?
Woman. They're not honoring a clearance price of a few of my items. Security guard to me.
Why?
Me. She's trying to shoplift them. She moved full-price jackets to a clearance section and is demanding the retail price. We have it all on video if you'd like to see. Security guard.
Okay. Let's see that and figure out where to go from there.
Idiots. We didn't bring the psycho and her kids to the back, and they bolted as soon as we got back there. My associate said she was like, "They have cameras?" and took off. Our cameras aren't even the fancy ones that look hidden. They look like cameras from GoldenEye on N64. 3. I work in a retail clothing store that sells fairly cheap clothes, along with an array of accessories. We tend to have deals on everything in the store, buy one get one free, etc. Since my store sells cheaper clothing, we have a 3-week exchange policy, which you can only do in exchange or in store credit. This policy tends to get a lot of customers angry. Yesterday we had a couple come to get store credit for a pair of shoes. When they approached the till, they asked the cashier if they could do the exchange for credit. Our cashier has only been working there a little over a week, so she called for our assistant manager to give her a hand, as she was struggling with exchanges and store credits. Our assistant manager then asked to see the receipt, which they don't have. She informs them that without a receipt, we cannot do the transaction. However, she can give them a number to call to retrieve the receipt, and then they could come back and get the credit. Otherwise, we could only do an exact exchange for size of the same item. At this point, I'm working on a task, and have to go up to the till to grab something for it. They're already yelling at this point. Crazy couple.
Well, I talked to your manager, and she said she could do it. I called on Saturday.
Assistant manager. Our manager has been on vacation since last Friday. Crazy couple.
Then whoever was working that day told us we could have it without a receipt.
I was the mod that day. I was only answering calls, I did not speak to them. Me, I was the manager on duty that day, you didn't speak to me. Is it possible... Cuts me off. Crazy couple.
You're calling me a liar now? I wouldn't lie about it.
Me, no, I was going to say there are 2 locations in this area, so I think you may have called the other one. Yet without a receipt we cannot... Crazy couple.
It doesn't matter. You should all do it regardless. You can still sell these, it has the tag.
Assistant manager. I still can't process the transaction without the receipt. It's the policy. Crazy couple.
So you're saying you can't sell these?
Both my manager and I begin to shake our head no, to say not without the receipt. Crazy couple.
Such fucking liars.
Assistant manager. Well, you can leave till you calm down. We hold the right to refuse service once a customer begins to swear. Crazy customer.
Suck a dick.
To which my manager informed them that they are now banned from the store and not to come back. They informed us in very colourful language that we will not have a job in 2 weeks and how pathetic we are. If I was a little sassier, then I should have said sounds good to me. They went to the other location and informed them that we had sworn at them and been extremely rude. The other location still refused to do anything without a receipt. 4. I work in a large UK-based store with a wide range of products, and I currently work primarily on customer services. Part of my job is returns, including electrical returns. Half the time people bring something in, it's completely untouched, still in most of the packaging. They have the receipt, it's all good. We have a policy with electrical goods, depending on what type they are, that unless it is faulty, and we can see it is faulty, we refuse to return it. Things I mean are kettles, irons, hoovers, toasters, etc. Things that have something else being put inside them. About a week ago, a woman came into the store with a handheld vacuum, with box and receipt, and wanted to return it. I looked at it, saw that it had been used, which means it's now unsellable, normally unreturnable. So I asked if there was a fault. Customer:
Yes, it doesn't work, it's faulty.
I looked over it for a moment, found the on switch, it turned on. Customer:
The suction on it doesn't work. It doesn't pick anything up.
Now I could see inside it, and there was plenty of dirt in there. So I walk around the desk through the inevitable mess that's piling around the edges, so I could test it in view of us both. And what do you know? It works just fine. Me: It seems to be working fine to me. Customer:
But it's not strong enough. I can't do my floors with it.
Me: Well, it's only a handheld vacuum. It's not designed for the deep clean that a regular vacuum is capable of, so I can't classify that as a fault. I had put it on the desk at this point, and she grabbed it, jammed her finger into the nozzle, smacking open the door inside. It's a clear case before the filter. Customer:
Well, that catch isn't very strong. It's flimsy. It lets everything fall out. Besides, it doesn't matter. The charge only lasts for 15 minutes.
I should note that the charge on it isn't supposed to last too long either, as it displays on the box. I decided to take the charging dock out of the box and set it up.
Customer: This is ridiculous. Can I get a manager here? My car parking is going to run out.
Me: Of course, I'll just go fetch someone. Since it was a Monday, there was a manager's meeting, so I had to interrupt it to get the DIY manager. The store manager was curious and asked me to let them all know the situation. After explaining it, the store manager laughed and said, "Store manager, that's all in you, DIY." I showed the manager everything I had already told him, until he decided to speak to the customer personally. I don't know how, but he came to the decision to return it. There was another return that I became aware of yesterday, where the customer complained that their water feature was faulty, so they brought it in and we tested it. Apparently it was fine, so we gave the customer a call back to come pick it up. Well, yesterday I was helping around the tills when they showed up. They were very polite and asked if they could borrow me to take it to their car, which I obliged. As soon as it was resting in their boot, they slammed the door down and turned to me and said, "Customer, I spent over £500 in this store last week. We used to shop here all the time, do you understand that? We're valued customers here. I want you to go in there and tell your manager that you have just lost 2 very good customers. Valued customers. We told all our friends never to shop here again." He quickly climbed into his car and slammed the door shut, before I could really reply or work out that he didn't say, "Thanks for all the help, young man." I walked back inside, stood at the till, waited for the manager to walk by. When I repeated this message for him, his response was, "Store manager. Oh, what a shame that is. I almost give a shit." 5. In my younger days, I used to love to bowl. Some kids hung out at the mall, but my friends and I hung out at the bowling alley. Bowling alleys typically have a pro shop, where bowlers can buy bowling balls or other items related to the sport. As a poor young guy, I would often spend what meager extra funds I had on various bowling equipment, so I was pretty knowledgeable. The owner of the pro shop was a good guy, and he'd often give me pretty good discounts. I was hanging out in the shop one afternoon when the door opened and a huge black guy entered the shop. I gave the guy a second glance because he was huge. This must have made him think I worked there, because he immediately came over to me. He mentioned he had a big charity bowling tournament to go to, and he needed a bunch of equipment. He was super friendly, and I really loved bowling, so I didn't mind helping out at all. At this point, I had no idea he thought I worked there. I asked him about his bowling style to try and ascertain what kind of ball would work for him. He mentioned he bowled with one finger. He saw the confusion on my face, smiled, and proceeded to show me the most mammoth hand I've ever seen. I'd never heard of someone bowling with one finger, but his hand was so huge, a bowling ball would have been comparable to a softball on a normal person. I immediately realized this guy was basically fast-pitching 16-pound bowling equipment. My friend was with me, and we were able to recommend a couple of ball options for him. One ball was about $250, and one was around $150. This was in the early 90s, so this was not cheap. He promptly picked the most expensive bag, $150, and pulled out a huge wad of hundreds. The entire time this guy was laughing and cracking jokes. At this point, the owner of the shop finally comes over and makes the transaction, and tells the guy that he drilled the finger holes for free. Big guy mentions that he only needs one finger hole, but the pro shop owner tells him that a bowling ball has to have at least 3 holes, or it isn't considered legal equipment. Big guy laughs and agrees. At this point, the owner begins to measure his finger and hand size, and it is literally off the charts. His thumb, in particular, is so huge that he doesn't have a conventional drill bit big enough for it. It was about the size of my wrist. The owner was also a part-time airplane mechanic of some type, and went out to his truck where he was able to produce a larger drill bit, and was able to eventually drill 3 holes that would fit the guy if he ever decided to use 3 fingers. Typically, undrilled bowling balls weigh about 16.4 pounds. The 0.4 pounds of extra weight is what is typically removed in the drilling process, giving a final weight of just under 16 pounds. For a normal human, for this guy, the balls weighed about 14 pounds afterwards. This particular alley also allowed you to have 3 free games of bowling for every ball purchased. So Big Guy asked my friend and I if we would bowl with him and give him a couple of pointers. I, being a cocky young guy, was pretty insistent that he'd roll much better if he actually used all 3 holes. Sure enough, his hands were so huge, he just couldn't get any sort of control if he used 3 fingers. Crazily enough, however, he was a pretty darn good bowler. He bowled with us for a few minutes when I finally noticed his earring. It was the letter L and the letter T in the shape of a lightning bolt. And that's when I finally realized I was giving Lawrence Taylor a bowling lesson. Edit. He realized I didn't work there when I asked if he'd give me the 3 free games he didn't use. I confessed I had no idea who he was until the end. We laughed. He was a great guy. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Adventures in Fast Food and Retail number 6. Big thanks to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. You know, I was thinking about that story with the shoplifters, and suddenly it popped into my mind an incident where there was one of our regular shoplifters, shall we generously call them, in the place I used to work. And I remember I was serving a customer one day. I kind of heard this rustling, very, very quick, as if someone was very swiftly shoving things into a bag. And I finished up with my customer, and then I walked over to the end of the till, where I could see clearly down the very last aisle in the store, where there was one of our shoplifters very quickly putting, it was washing powder it was, into a bag. I think it was washing powder. And I I didn't say anything, so I didn't yell at them. I just kind of stood there watching. I was like, okay, how long is it going to take you to realise that not only are you on camera, dumbass, but that I can see you? Anyway, a few seconds went by of him filling the bags, then he realised, I must have felt my eyes on him, he realised he was being watched. So he looks up, looks at me. Instead of dropping his bag and running out the shop, with anyone with a bit of self-respect might have done. But again, I suppose if you are a shoplifter, you've kind of lost all self-respect at that point. And he just very calmly stops filling his bag, straightens himself up, and walks the long way round to get out to the door. And while he's doing that, I calmly, equally calmly, although a bit swifter than him, exit the till and head to the door and wait for him. And as he walks up, I just hold out my hand, he gives me the bag, and out he goes. And this was actually a guy I used to go to high school with. One of those people who'll, without any shame, stop you on the street and ask if you've got any change. He's not homeless or anything like that, and his mother's always a very nice, well-put-together woman, so I don't know what his problem was. Polite as could be, most of the time, mind you. It's one of those people that they've been caught at it so often, they realise there's no point putting up a fight when you head them off. Of course, I would not have chased after him, because you don't get paid for that. Of course, there are some people who, I remember there was one occasion, there was this guy who, I wouldn't really call him a shoplifter, but he was stealing. If I'll explain what I mean by that. This was a man, a fairly regular customer, again, a very polite person, an older gentleman, and my father actually had a nickname for him, but I won't say what it was, because he used to be friends with one of my neighbours. And anyway, this man was coming in drunk, very, very drunk, and he was helping himself to the bagged sweets, the bags of confectionery. I think it was jelly babies he seemed to be fond of, and he didn't even realise he was doing it. Right? I guess he must have thought he'd bought them the next day, because he was that drunk, and what the situation there was, and the reason we didn't call the police, we didn't even bar him from the shop, although when he came in one day, we did say to him, look, you've done this. He didn't remember it, but we've seen you do it. We've got you on camera doing it. Don't let it happen again. And the reason we didn't call the police from this situation was because this man had recently lost his son. Yeah, I know it's kind of a somber note to end an otherwise cheery video on, but he'd been hitting the bottle pretty heavily at that time, because his son, I think his son was about 30-something, passed away, left a young child, and he wasn't dealing with it very well, as no parent would deal with a situation like that. And we didn't see him for a very long time after that. Again, he hadn't been barred, but I think he was just very embarrassed by it. But he did come in eventually, and he was always very pleasant to deal with. I had no trouble with him. It was just that one situation, and we wondered, well, how many times had he actually done that before we'd seen him do it? But all it took was you said to him, and that was that. Anyway, on that not very cheery note, I'm going to leave you guys for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.